What if one small habit, something you do without thinking right after every meal, was silently draining your brain's vitality day by day? Would you change it if you knew? Most people wouldn't suspect it. After all, it's part of a daily routine, quite automatic and seemingly harmless. But today I'm going to reveal a deeply unsettling truth. This everyday behavior could be the hidden fork in the road between living with clarity well into your 90s or battling memory loss before you even hit 70. It's a truth the medical industry rarely talks about. Why? Because acknowledging it could make a multi-billion-dollar corner of healthcare, the one pushing expensive pills and costly treatments, suddenly seem unnecessary. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to empower you. I'm 88 years old. I've lived through a full lifetime of medical practice. And now, with my remaining years, I've made it my personal mission to help as many people as I can, starting with you. So today I'm laying everything bare. But before we begin, I'd really appreciate it if you click the like button. It helps this message reach more people. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any future insights about healthy aging. If this video resonates with you, comment 1 below. If it doesn't, comment 0, and let me know how I can do better next time. Now let's get to the story that changed my life and might just save yours. 3 years ago, on my 85th birthday, I woke up to a terrifying experience. The room was spinning. My head felt heavy, the ceiling tilted, and I could barely stand. As a neurologist with more than 60 years in the field, I immediately knew this was no ordinary dizzy spell. I was rushed to the hospital. Advanced brain scans confirmed my suspicion. Blood flow to my brain had dropped to a dangerously low level. It was teetering on the edge of catastrophic failure. I was one step away from a stroke or worse. I remember the look on my colleagues' faces, seasoned professionals shaking their heads, offering platitudes about normal aging. They told me to rest, to accept it, that this was simply what happens when we get old. But I couldn't accept that. I refused. I was haunted by the memory of a patient I had seen just weeks before, a man named John Miller. At 92 years old, he walked into my office with a spring in his step and eyes sharp as glass. But it wasn't just his physical health that stood out. His mind was extraordinary. I gave him the same battery of cognitive tests we use on patients, and there she's. To my astonishment, he scored higher than most people half his age. I had to ask John, "What's your secret?" He smiled and said, "There's one thing I never do, especially not in the 30 minutes after eating." His answer was so simple, so understated, I almost brushed it off. But as I lay in that hospital bed, replaying every decision I had made over the decades, every study, every patient, every lecture I'd ever given, something about his words nagged at me. Could the key to long-term brain health really be something so basic? Driven by curiosity and desperation, I began a personal investigation. I went back into decades of patient files, reviewing over 300 cases of elderly individuals I had treated. The pattern was impossible to ignore. Of those diagnosed with dementia, nearly 87% shared a common habit, something they did immediately after meals. But here's the kicker: among patients over 90 who maintained razor-sharp minds, 94% shared a completely different habit, or rather, avoided the same dangerous one. It wasn't about superior genetics. It wasn't about cutting-edge medication. It wasn't about green juices, exotic supplements, or ultra-restrictive diets. It came down to 4 simple behaviors habits, so ordinary, most people do them without a second thought. But when practiced in that vulnerable 30-minute window after eating, they quietly suffocate your brain's vitality. And if you're like most people, you're likely doing at least one of them, possibly all 4. To understand why these behaviors are so dangerous, let's imagine your brain as a vast, high-functioning city, a brain city. A bustling metropolis filled with energy, ideas, and constant communication. This city is home to 86 billion neurons. That's about 6,000 times the population of New York City. These neurons work nonstop, sending and receiving around 1,000 signals per second. They manage everything from your memories and thoughts to your balance and emotions. But for this city to run, it needs fuel, and not just any fuel. It needs a continuous, steady flow of oxygen-rich blood. Now here's what happens when you eat. Digestion is a high-priority task. Your body diverts approximately 30% of your blood, that's nearly 1.5 quarts, to your stomach and intestines to help process food. Under normal conditions, your brain commands about 20% of your blood supply, even though it only weighs 2% of your body mass. That's how energy hungry it is. But after a meal, this balance is disrupted. Your brain's steady fuel supply becomes shaky, unreliable, especially if your blood vessels are already compromised by age. Imagine a 20-year-old's blood vessels. They're like new flexible rubber hoses, responsive, adaptive, able to expand and contract with ease. Now imagine the vessels of someone in their 60s or beyond, stiffer, more brittle, like old garden hoses that crack in the sun. These aging vessels can't adjust as quickly, which means blood struggles to get where it's needed. And that includes your brain. So what happens if you make the wrong choice in the 30 minutes after eating, a time when your blood is already being redirected? The results can be devastating. Your neurons, starved of oxygen, begin to falter. Connections weaken. Brain fog sets in. Over time, this cascade can snowball into permanent damage. These small daily moments, seemingly harmless, are in fact quietly shaping the quality of your cognitive life for decades to come. As a physician, it pains me to admit this truth has been ignored for too long. Why hasn't it been widely discussed? The answer, unfortunately, lies in economics. If people began to avoid these four harmful post-meal habits, we might see a dramatic drop in the number of individuals needing memory drugs, brain scans, or specialist appointments, and for the pharmaceutical industry, that's not good business. But I'm no longer in that system. I'm retired. I owe nothing to hospitals, companies, or research grants. I only owe you the truth. Before I reveal the first habit you must avoid, let me ask, have you ever felt that heavy wave of sleepiness crash over you after a meal, especially lunch or dinner? Do you find yourself struggling to focus around 2 p.m. as if a fog has settled over your mind? Do conversations with loved ones feel harder to follow? Like the words are there, but your brain isn't catching them in time? If so, your brain may already be sending distress signals, subtle but urgent. If you want to protect your memory, your clarity, and your independence, I urge you to make a promise right now. Comment, I'll follow below. Make a commitment to yourself and to your future that you'll avoid the four post-meal habits I'm about to share, because your mind is worth protecting. And in the next section, we begin with the first and most dangerous habit of all, the first deadly habit: lying down immediately after eating. If you're still here with me watching Thinking, Learning, thank you. And if you found these insights valuable so far, please comment one below to let me know you're still with me. Your support matters. It helps us spread this life-saving message to those who need it most, people who might never hear this truth otherwise. Now let's talk about that warm, drowsy feeling you get after a big lunch or dinner when all you want is to curl up on the couch or slip into bed for a quick rest. It feels comforting, restful, harmless. But that urge to lie down, it's not a harmless craving. It's a red flag. In fact, it's one of the most dangerous habits for aging brains. The simple act, lying down too soon after eating silently, sends tens of thousands of older adults to emergency rooms every single year. Let me explain why. After you eat, your blood sugar spikes, prompting your pancreas to release insulin. This shift can temporarily destabilize how glucose, your brain's primary fuel, is delivered. Now, add lying down to the mix. Gravity no longer helps your body manage the contents of your stomach. Instead, stomach acids and partially digested food can flow backward into your esophagus. This is a condition called gastroesophageal reflux, or more commonly, acid reflux. In your younger years, this might not have been a problem. The lower esophageal sphincter, a muscle that acts like a valve, would contract and seal tightly to prevent any backflow. But by the time you hit 60, that valve's strength can decline by more than 50%. And when it weakens, reflux becomes a constant risk, even from small meals. But here's the part few people talk about. Reflux isn't just about heartburn or indigestion. Recent studies reveal something far more concerning. Chronic acid reflux can trigger neuroinflammation. The digestive enzymes and stomach acids that bubble up can stimulate the vagus nerve, which connects your digestive system directly to your brain. That stimulation sends inflammatory signals upward, and over time, these signals contribute to long-term damage in the brain. Worse still is the risk of aspiration pneumonia, when bits of stomach content accidentally enter the lungs instead of staying in the stomach. This condition causes the lungs to swell and restrict oxygen delivery to the bloodstream and by extension to the brain. It's estimated that up to 70% of pneumonia cases in seniors are caused by this very mechanism. And every single case drastically reduces brain oxygenation, accelerating cognitive decline. Let me tell you the story of someone who lived this. Mary Johnson, a 73-year-old grandmother from Seattle, was known in her neighborhood for having the sharpest memory on the block. She remembered every grandchild's birthday, every phone number, every detail of community events. She was by all accounts mentally vibrant. But Mary had one habit. After every meal, she would lie down on her living room couch just for 30 minutes to let the food settle. At first, no one thought much of it. But 3 months later, things began to shift. Mary started forgetting shopping lists. Then she mixed up appointments. Her family thought it was just normal aging. By the 6th month, she was suffering from chronic heartburn. And then came the hospitalization, aspiration pneumonia. She pulled through, but when we tested her cognitive function afterward, the results were heartbreaking. Her memory had declined to 60% of its former level. I worked closely with Mary after her recovery. We made one critical change: no more lying down after meals. I asked her to stay upright for at least 30 minutes, ideally 45, and to incorporate gentle walking if possible. The results were nearly miraculous. Within 3 months, she began recalling familiar names again. After 6 months, she could once again name all her grandchildren with ease. With tears in her eyes, she told me, "I had no idea something so small could cause so much damage." So here's your practical takeaway. Stay upright for at least 30 minutes after every meal. 45 minutes is even better. This simple act protects your digestive system, preserves your brain's oxygen flow, and helps prevent conditions that lead to memory loss. It may feel like a minor change, but for your brain, it could mean everything. And before we move on to the second deadly habit, I want you to pause and consider this sobering truth. By 2025, it's projected that over 7 million Americans over the age of 65 will be living with dementia. That's 1 in 5 seniors. And yet, recent studies from the National Institute on Aging suggest that up to 40% of dementia cases could be prevented not through miracle drugs, but through simple lifestyle changes. And perhaps the most overlooked yet impactful of those changes: how you spend the first 30 to 90 minutes after a meal. So let's move forward, because the next habit may be just as common and even more dangerous for your heart and mind. The second deadly habit: taking a hot bath too soon after eating. Many people believe a warm bath after dinner is the perfect way to unwind, a symbol of self-care. But it's one of the most dangerous myths circulating in modern health culture. Let me share a personal, humbling story. 3 years ago, after enjoying a hearty evening meal, I followed my usual routine. I ran a bath 108 degrees Fahrenheit and sank into the water, convinced I was doing something good for my health. I had done it countless times before. But just 5 minutes and my vision blurred. My heart began racing. A wave of dizziness overtook me. I nearly lost consciousness, and I was alone. Had my wife not walked in at that exact moment, I might not be here to share this with you now. Why was it so dangerous? After you eat, your body diverts 30% of its blood supply to your stomach and intestines to manage digestion. But hot water causes your skin's blood vessels to dilate, drawing blood toward the surface in an attempt to cool down. This creates a tug of war between your digestive system and your skin, and your brain and heart lose out. Cerebral blood flow. The blood reaching your brain can drop to less than 50% of its normal rate. At the same time, your blood pressure fluctuates wildly, a rapid spike as you enter the water, followed by a steep drop as your vessels relax. This is a proven trigger for strokes and heart attacks. You might be shocked to hear this, but approximately 19,000 Americans die every year from bath-related incidents, many of them directly linked to post-meal bathing. That's 4 times higher than the annual death toll from traffic accidents, and yet most people never hear about it. Now let me introduce you to James Wilson, a 68-year-old retired banker from Chicago. He was a creature of habit, careful, disciplined, and proud of his health routine. For 4 decades, he took a hot bath within 30 minutes of dinner, convinced it was the cornerstone of his longevity. One winter night, James collapsed in the tub. His family found him pale, barely breathing. He survived, but brain scans revealed multiple small strokes. Doctors blamed it on vascular aging, but I dug deeper. James had experienced dizziness during baths for over 5 years, a clear sign of cerebral oxygen deprivation. I advised him to make 2 changes: delay bathing until 2 hours after eating and reduce the water temperature to 100 degrees. He resisted at first, joking that the lukewarm water felt like a punishment. But after 3 months, something incredible happened. His brain scans showed a 20% increase in blood flow, and his cognitive test scores improved dramatically. He told me, "I never imagined something as simple as bath timing could transform my health." Here's what I now recommend to all my patients, a proven protocol refined through working with over 500 seniors. Avoid baths for at least 90 minutes after eating. 2 hours is ideal. If you must bathe sooner, take a quick shower instead. Keep the water temperature between 100 degrees and 104 degrees. Avoid hot tubs or soaking longer than 15 minutes. If bathing alone, set a timer. If with family, check in regularly. These small adjustments can prevent tragedies and give your brain the stable, oxygen-rich blood flow it needs to function at its best. Next, we'll reveal the third deadly habit, another routine mistake that seems harmless, until it quietly chips away at your memory. Previously, we uncovered how something as seemingly harmless as bath timing could influence stroke risk, and even how simple post-meal habits might slash your dementia risk by 65%. But now let's dive into another common practice that's quietly wreaking havoc on the aging brain. Let's begin with a jaw-dropping revelation. A 2023 Oxford University study uncovered that merely adjusting your habits after meals without a single pill or surgery can significantly lower your risk of dementia by 65%. Yes, you read that right. No drugs, no complicated interventions, just timing. And with that in mind, let's talk about the third deadly habit, eating fruit immediately after meals. Now, fruit is a powerhouse of nutrition. We all know that. Packed with fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants, it's practically the poster child for a healthy diet. But here's the hidden twist: when consumed at the wrong time, especially right after a meal, fruit can transform from friend to foe, becoming a blood sugar wrecking ball. The culprit, fructose, the natural sugar in fruit. While it might sound gentler than refined sugar, fructose actually places a heavier burden on your liver than regular table sugar. When you eat a meal, your blood sugar naturally rises. Add fructose to the mix immediately after, and now your liver is overwhelmed. What does it do? It converts that excess sugar into fat. Over time, this contributes to fatty liver disease, a dangerous condition that often precedes cognitive decline. Let me share a real story with you. Susan Davis, a vibrant 70-year-old woman from Boston, came into my office puzzled. She had always believed she was eating right. Her routine: bananas after breakfast, apples after lunch, oranges after dinner, fruit after every meal. She thought she was doing her body a favor. But instead of feeling energized, Susan was constantly fatigued. Her memory was slipping small things at first, but becoming more frequent. She just didn't feel like herself. When we ran her blood work, the results were alarming. Elevated liver enzymes, blood sugar creeping into pre-diabetic territory. Her well-intentioned habit of eating fruit after meals was sending her body and brain on a daily roller coaster of sugar spikes and crashes. Why is that dangerous? Because these spikes trigger massive insulin surges, which are followed by sharp crashes. And during those crashes, the brain, starved of energy, begins to suffer. Over time, this pattern can damage neurons and accelerate cognitive decline. I advised Susan to simply shift her fruit intake to different times of day. Instead of after meals, she now eats fruit about an hour before a meal or waits at least 2 hours after eating. Within a month, her energy levels improved dramatically. Her mind felt clearer. Her memory sharpened. And after 3 months, her blood tests returned to normal. Her liver enzymes dropped. Her glucose stabilized. She was stunned. I always thought fruit was good no matter when I ate it, she told me. I never realized timing could make such a difference. Science supports her experience. A 2024 study from UCLA showed that consuming fructose immediately after meals spiked brain inflammation markers by as much as 40%, directly increasing Alzheimer's risk. And it's not just whole fruit. Fruit juice especially is a sugar bomb in disguise. Juicing strips away the natural fiber, causing sugars to be absorbed almost instantly. One 8-ounce glass of orange juice contains the sugar equivalent of 8 cubes. If you drink it after a meal, it's like detonating a glucose grenade in your brain. So, when is the right time to enjoy fruit? There are 3 ideal windows. 1, 30 minutes before breakfast, when your stomach is empty and your body is ready to gently absorb fruit sugars, using them as slow-release brain fuel. 2, mid-morning around 10 a.m. or mid-afternoon around 3 p.m., when you're between meals and your blood sugar is stable, minimizing spikes. 30 minutes before exercise, when your body is primed to burn those sugars as energy, not store them as fat. On the other hand, the worst times to eat fruit are immediately after meals, before bedtime, or when you're already full. These timings do more harm than good, actively straining your liver and brain. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on what we've learned so far. 3 habits seemingly innocent are silently damaging the brain every single day. But don't worry, we're not done yet. The next habit we're about to explore is even more dangerous, and it's surprisingly common among health-conscious people. But before we get there, if this information resonates with you and you're finding value in these insights, I invite you to join our community by clicking the Join button. For just $4.90 a month, you'll receive exclusive monthly insights distilled from my 60 years of clinical experience tools and tips you won't find in any textbook. Learn how a 1-minute morning routine can slash dementia risk, how to lower your blood pressure by 20 points without medication, or how to build muscle even into your 90s. Now back to the fourth deadly habit, a mistake that many make with good intentions, intense exercise right after eating. You might be wondering, how could something so healthy turn harmful? Well, let me introduce you to Tom Brown, a 65-year-old former marathoner from Denver. For decades, Tom lived by a simple rule: eat, then exercise. It kept him lean and fit, at least physically. But when Tom came to see me, he was facing something far more alarming. He was getting lost in familiar neighborhoods, repeating himself in conversations, struggling to recall names of people he'd known for years. An MRI told us the harsh truth: his hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory, was 30% smaller than the average for his age. Why? Because vigorous exercise right after eating forces the body to redirect blood away from digestion and toward the muscles. This diversion cuts off up to 40% of the blood flow to the brain. Over years, even decades, this repeated oxygen shortage damages brain tissue. And there's more. Exercising intensely while your body is digesting food triples your production of free radicals, those destructive molecules that damage cells, especially in the brain. I advised Tom to shift his workouts to 2 to 3 hours after meals, and to keep his heart rate at no more than 6% of his maximum, low enough that he could still hold a conversation. 6 months later, his memory scores improved by 30%, and follow-up scans revealed that the shrinkage had halted. I thought I was doing the right thing, he told me, shaking his head. I never imagined I was slowly starving my brain. And research from Stanford backs this up. When timed correctly, exercise increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor BDNF, a protein that supports brain health. But exercising too soon after eating suppresses this critical factor. So what's the solution? The ideal time for moderate exercise is 2 to 3 hours after a meal. If you want to move sooner, opt for a light walk, 2.5 for about 30 minutes. It helps digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and maintains steady brain blood flow, all without putting your brain at risk. But we're not done just yet. There's one final habit we must address, one that far too many seniors overlook. And while quitting may not reverse the damage, stopping now could preserve what brain function you still have left. After unveiling how smoking after meals strangles brain oxygen and shrinks cognitive potential, let's now shift from dangers to hope. Because here's the truth: even if you've carried these habits for years, it's not too late. Your brain is far more resilient than you might believe. How do I know this? Because I've lived it. At 85 years old, I stand as living proof. 3 years ago, I collapsed. The doctor said recovery was unlikely. They told me the damage was irreversible. But instead of accepting defeat, I took a different path. I changed my post-meal habits. Slowly, steadily, my mind returned. And today I'm here with you, not just surviving, but thriving. What turned things around? A detailed, science-backed post-meal routine. It's one I've refined over the years while coaching hundreds of patients, many of whom saw results almost immediately. So let me walk you through it step by step. Immediately after eating, don't lie down. Resist the temptation. Instead, stand up and spend 5 to 10 minutes clearing the dishes or simply walking around the kitchen. This small act alone helps initiate gentle digestion and prevents that heavy post-meal crash. Next, brew a warm cup of herbal or decaffeinated tea. Chamomile or peppermint are excellent choices. They're caffeine-free and naturally soothe your digestive system. But it's not just about what you drink, it's about how you do it. The simple act of preparing tea becomes a ritual. It calms your nervous system, stabilizes blood pressure, and signals the brain that it's time to transition into calm focus. Find a window bathed in sunlight. Sit by it. Sip your tea slowly. Let the natural light soak into your skin because sunlight isn't just for plants. It boosts your brain's serotonin levels, improving mood and curbing that post-lunch drowsiness. And don't forget to sit upright. Keeping a straight posture prevents acid reflux and improves breathing. After 15 minutes, it's time to move, but gently. Take a leisurely walk of around 500 yards, which should take you about 10 to 15 minutes if you move at a relaxed pace of 2.5 miles per hour. No need to power walk. This isn't about burning calories. It's about nudging blood circulation, helping nutrients flow where they're needed most, your brain. But what if mobility is limited? That's okay. Seated leg lifts or slow ankle circles are great alternatives. Even a few minutes of light movement signals your body that digestion is underway, and the brain deserves attention too. Then comes the final step. Engage your mind. Return from your walk and stimulate your brain gently. Read a news headline. Solve a basic math problem like 15 divided by 3. Or write just 3 sentences in a journal. These tiny challenges increase cerebral blood flow and activate the memory centers without overwhelming your energy. All of this, the tea, the sunlight, the gentle walk, and a mental spark takes only about 45 minutes. It may sound like a chore, but trust me, it's an investment in your cognitive future. My patients tell me all the time they feel the difference. Clearer thoughts, stronger focus, fewer memory slips, even better sleep. Some say they even get compliments. You look more alive these days. Why does this work so well? Because it strengthens the 3 core pillars of brain health: blood flow, oxygen delivery, neurotransmitter balance. And here's the secret ingredient: enjoyment. Don't rush the tea savor, its warmth and aroma. Notice how the sunlight paints your walls a different shade each season. Smile at the small wins when you solve a brain teaser, because when you combine these habits with joy, you amplify your brain's rejuvenation tenfold. In my 6 decades as a physician, I've discovered one unshakable truth: health is not lost in a single moment. It's shaped by the quiet, repeated choices we make day after day. Think about that. 10 years from now, as some around you forget names, stories, even themselves, you could be the one remembering every grandchild's birthday, still painting, still laughing, still living life on your terms, all because of the way you spend the 30 minutes after a meal. So here's my final plea: start today. Avoid lying down. Skip the hot baths. Delay the fruit. Wait to exercise. Choose a routine that protects your brain, not drains it. And once you feel the difference, share it. Teach someone you love. Because one changed routine could mean one more memory preserved, one life saved from decline. If this resonated with you, don't stop here. Check out the next article, linked below, where I'll walk you through a 3-minute morning routine that could extend your life by a decade. It's crafted especially for my subscribers and filled with practical, proven wisdom. I wish you boundless health joy and a mind that stays forever sharp. Thank you for spending this time with me.